Hello, I'd like to call to order the Public Safety and Transportation Committee meeting. I would like to read the ground rules at the present moment. No one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board issues, a board business, or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. To raise your hand through Zoom, click the participant's icon and you will find the raise hand function there. Members should not engage in back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize, well, the vice chair will recognize the next person to speak. Please keep your questions and comments brief on topic to the discussion. And members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subject on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. My name is Michelle Wiltshire-Clement. I'm the vice chair of this committee. And Khalid, would you like to make the roll call?
Yes, 1 second, please. Okay. Okay, members, just to reiterate, there are 11 total committee members, 6 are needed for a quorum. Jose Altamirano. Hello, am I being heard? I know Jose. Yeah, can you hear me, Jose? Okay, we'll circle back. I know that he's doing.
I hear you.
Okay, right. Thank you, Jose. So we know that you're present.
I can hear you slightly.
You can hear me slightly. A lot better right now.
Now I hear you better. Yes.
So yeah, acknowledging that you're attending remotely since you filled out the form. Stephanie Arroyo. Anthony Brown. Kenneth Crouch. Carlos Diaz. Wanda Hopkins. Sage Mason.
Present.
Thank you. Claudia Perez. Don Sanders.
Present.
Thank you. Loretta So has asked for excuse. Michelle Wiltshire Clement.
And I am here.
Present. So we currently have. We have 4 present. We need 2 more in order to make quorum.
Thank you. I would like to say thank you to all the people that are here and online. And we are just going to be adjourning for 15 minutes until we can make quorum. So please be patient with us.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. We have quorum now. Thank you, Wanda. And so we are able to begin. My name is Michelle Wiltshire-Clement. I'm the Vice Chair of Public Safety and Transportation. Welcome, everyone, to the May 9th, 2024 meeting starting at, I think it's 7 o'clock.
Just
6:58. Welcome to people that are here in person and people online. I would like to find out if we'd like together to adopt the May 2024 agenda. In absence of disagreement, I will say unanimously agree. There on our agenda, we have the next topic is discussion of the committee minutes completion.
right. So the minutes that we have for this past business year is just the templates that I've submitted to the committee, and they've been accepted as finalized. Unfortunately, Angel doesn't believe that these minutes satisfy not open meetings law, but a certain requirement, in that they are not detailed. They only just have the agenda items and then the action items of the committee. And so they're not necessarily acceptable or can be accepted as minutes. So retroactively had to go back and take all of the minutes that we did finalize and put them back into draft state, because there's no information on them. It's just street co-naming committee voted to approve, and then that's it. So, they're not deemed acceptable, and I had to rescind all of them back into draft. And until, any member would like to add in any details or anything for the minutes, especially moving forward, they can't be accepted as complete minutes, unfortunately. So that's the conversation I wanted to have with you all. And the minutes, I make them available in the same document drive that all the board members have access to. Anyone is free to just put in a couple of sentences for an agenda item, and that would be okay. But in terms of just, how I put in just the draft template and then an action item, if there is a committee action item, they can't be accepted as formal minutes. So that's something that we can work on June and throughout the summer if you guys would like. But that's the
Okay,
decision.
we have time.
We have time, of course, yes.
All right, so we have homework.
So we'll have, we'll have a more proper discussion. I'll create an email correspondence so all of us are aware of it, and then make sure that we all have access, and then if anything, we can move forward on that. All right?
So it's doable. If we all get together, we can do this.
And that means somebody should take notes today, right?
If you all would like, I mean, normally I have the minutes draft up so I can get the attendance. Well, at least when I work with Jessica Elliott for Open Space and Parks, she has the minutes up herself and she types in real time. It's like a stenographer. And, if somebody wants to volunteer to do that, to just only put a couple of sentences for saving, as we have the 96th Street bus priority project, you just type in a couple of sentences like, the lanes are expected to be from here to here from this district, and we might anticipate losing XYZ parking spots, blah, blah, blah. Couple of sentences just to, summarize the discussion. That's completely appropriate. Dawn Sanders has her hand raised. Do you want to acknowledge her?
Don? Go ahead, Don.
If you want, I'll stenography, I'll stenographer.
For minutes? Okay,
yeah.
I can make sure you have access to the
For
document.
today. I
For
don't
today?
remember all the other meetings, but for
No
today,
problem.
I'm happy to go and just take down some of what I'm hearing.
Okay, so I'll send you the document link right now, okay? And you can type it in real time.
Okay.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Don. Thank you.
The link I'm seeing is just a copy of last month's minutes.
Yeah, I have to make it a one. Don't worry, I'll sign it. Upgrade it.
So
Okay. All
I
right,
think we're on the same document stage. Okay,
I see.
yeah, okay.
okay, beautiful, moving on. Our announcements,
I can read that. Will I read that?
yes, please.
Okay, drivers in New York who obscure their license plates to avoid paying tolls will face steep penalties under legislation passed as part of the state budget. The budget imposes new consequences on drivers who cover their plates with glass or other materials that prevent cameras from reading their numbers. It also aims at people who scratch off parts of their plates. According to the legislation, anyone caught violating the law will be forced to surrender their cover and be subject to fines ranging from $100 to $500. If a driver has been convicted more than 3 times of covering their plate in a 5-year period, the legislation empowers state officials to suspend their vehicle registration. And we can have links available for individuals who want to read up on the legislation. Second point, due to MTA's Second Avenue subway project phase 2, the city bike station installed on Second Avenue and East 104th Street will be relocated to the north side parking lane of East 103rd Street, east of Second Avenue. This will be a long-term relocation anticipated to last approximately 3 years.
And we have a presentation on that, so we don't need to discuss this.
We don't have a presentation on this specifically.
Well, I thought we had it on this one.
Jose would like to discuss bike lane removals and so forth like that, yes, but this is specifically city bike stations.
Okay,
And then final announcement per local law 171, New York City Department of Transportation launched its truck routes network redesigned public feedback portal. The portal will allow the public and freight industry to learn about the city's truck route network and provide feedback. The public is able to comment and provide feedback through identifying issues and concerns of the current network via an interactive map. Feedback will help inform DOT on how and where they can look to improve movement of trucks on city streets. So that link will also be made available for the public via our website.
okay. After that, those beautiful announcements. We have our informational update. Do we have any city agency partners at the present moment? The 2/3 precinct on here?
I know that we have Officer Cosme, go ahead.
Alright.
Hi, yes, I'll be giving some updates for the 23rd precinct and for the 25th precinct. This is on behalf of the 23rd precinct. They are up about 19% in crime for the 28-day period. That is mostly attributed to their increase in robberies and increase in felony assaults. For their robberies, 11 of the 24 occurred in public housing, and most of them were strong arm robberies. One of the robberies was a firearm was displayed, and a total of 11 arrests were made out of those 24 robberies. For the felony assaults, 16 of the 39 felony assaults were domestic, and there have been 24 arrests in total. The 23rd precinct has 2 shredding events coming up. The first one is gonna be on Saturday, May 11th on East 108th Street from 1st to 2nd Avenue. And the second one, another shredding event, will be on May 16th on East 104th Street from 3rd to 2nd Avenue. Both events will be from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Their next community council meeting is going to be on May 22nd at Union Settlement, 237 East 104th Street at 6 p.m. And the 23rd precinct received 7 new officers that will be on foot post starting tomorrow. So that was for the 23rd precinct. And then I'll just quickly go over the 25th. The 25th precinct is currently down in crime. But we have one crime that has had an uptick, which is our GLAs, our grand larceny autos. A lot of our grand larceny autos have been happening at East River Plaza, where there are cars that are just being broken into while they are parked in the lot and then being stolen. So we have been working very closely with East River Plaza staff and the parking staff at the location to just think of better measures of what to do and how to combat that. I remember last time that we spoke, we were speaking about a pickpocketer that was targeting elders on 116th Street, the bus line. That person has been arrested, and he has been charged with those crimes. Other than that, we have a community event on Saturday. We're having a community health fair on East 126th Street between Park and Lexington Avenue. That's gonna be from 10 to 4 p.m. Our community council meeting is gonna be next Wednesday, the 15th at 6 p.m. We're gonna host ours at Bethel Gospel Assembly. And we have received 5 new officers that will also begin their foot posts tomorrow. So I'll take any questions if you have them.
Thank you. Just 1 second. I was just curious how the 2-5 got 5 and the 2-3 got 7. Is there a couple, 7 new officers in the 2/3 district and the 5 and the 2-5? Is there a reason why you didn't get the same amount?
No, so they just break it off and every precinct gets an amount. There's not a reason why. Usually it's because there's precincts with more crime will get more officers. But around that like 5 to 10, it's usually not really a difference why someone will get 5 over 7 over 8, you know.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. And Faith, you have the floor.
Thank you. I had a couple questions. One is, how many of the grand larceny autos have occurred at East River Plaza?
How many of them?
Yes.
Okay, but yes, so currently in the 28-day period, we have 15. And that's up about, we had, at this time last year, we only had 7. So it's a big increase for us.
And those were all in the mall?
They weren't all in the mall, most of them were.
And then I had two just clarification questions. One is, what is a shredding event? And then two, like, how do you define a strong armed robbery?
Okay, a shredding event is where you can bring any like old documents and stuff like that. They'll have like a huge shredder out there. And you can just come bring your documents. I know a lot of people hold on to like their old like documents because they don't own a shredder. So they'll have a big shredding truck out there for everyone. That's that. And the second question, oh, a strong arm robbery, it just means that force was used, but there was no weapon used.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dawn has her hand raised.
Don, you on the floor?
Thank you so much. I was trying to hear for the 23rd precinct, did you say 19% increase in crime or decrease?
A
Was it
nine,
increase?
a 19% increase in crime. for
Okay,
the period.
okay, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kenneth, you on the floor?
Hi, thank you, Officer Cosme. Quick question. I think, did you say that the 23rd precinct had a decrease in crime? And if so, could you tell us the percentage again?
25th, right?
Well, I think the 23rd, right? Or did you, maybe I'm confused. Did you say the 25th had been? Okay. Oh, so it was the 25th?
The 25th precinct has an overall decrease in crime. We're down about like 30% in crime.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem,
Keep us connected.
of course.
Thank you, Officer Cosme.
Okay, Officer Cosme, you can stay on the line if you wish and continue listening. But thank you for your contribution. Do we have anyone from PSA 5?
I don't see anybody from PSA 5.
Okay. And do we have anyone from the New York City Department of Transportation?
Yeah, Brian. Oh. Hi, Leora. If you, are you here to present for the 96th Street bus lanes?
Yes.
Okay, so that's gonna be later on. We're just doing announcements at this time.
Right.
Hi, go ahead, Rafael.
Yeah. Yeah, how you doing, guys?
Hi.
Hello.
Do you want to, would you like to leave us for,
Your presentation?
For the
Yes.
presentation, yes.
okay, so what I would like to do now is you go right ahead and follow up with your agenda, and then I will make the presentation as well as speak about the things that we have discussed in the past. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
That's fine. Thank you, Rafael.
Okay.
Sure. Okay, and now, do we have anyone from the district attorney's office for informational update?
Seeing anyone raise their hands, so no.
Okay. And do we have any public safety transportation advocacy groups online?
Nobody's raised their hands.
Okay,
We can move on to the agenda.
all right, so now we are moving forward to the presentation and discussions, and the first group is for the committee discussion on the bike lane removal and additions for Second Avenue subway.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Sorry.
The bike lane removals and additions for Second Avenue subway project. Do we have anyone for that?
Hi, so real sorry. Jose, I know you wanted for us to add that onto the agenda. Did you have anything that you'd like to highlight on that or speak on for that?
Is Jose on the call?
Jose,
Yes, yes.
Jose is here. He's here in panelist. I don't know if you, Jose, can you hear me? Or maybe you might be muted and you're speaking, but you're muted.
But you see, when you read bike lane removal and addition for Second Avenue subway project, that implies that DOT is involved in this particular action. And I have no, actually, I have knowledge of it, but I'm not prepared or would be
You're not,
appropriately,
no
appropriately
worries.
talking
No
about
worries.
this.
No worries, Raphael. Thank that. I appreciate you contributing to that. We'll definitely have a discussion and then maybe later on in the evening. If not, then we can have a discussion in June. Okay?
Okay, so let me just add a little bit to the bike lane removal and additions for subway, Second Avenue subway. The First Avenue bike lane for the DOT needs to put up signage and lights for the two-way. And it is a dangerous situation for the pedestrians, and all lights and signs are just for one way going north. That was the addition from Jose.
Understood. Okay, so we'll drop some formal correspondence and then have a more detailed or a better discussion moving forward. Okay, Raphael?
Yeah, you do have a committee within the CB11 board that is focused mainly in this particular subject.
Yes, the
Right?
Second Avenue Subway Task Force, correct.
Yes,
But
correct.
they're not scheduled to meet anytime soon at this point, but this was an agenda topic that the chair wanted onto the agendas for the brief discussion. But we'll gather more data and information and we'll come together at a later meeting date to have a more better discussion, okay? As
Excellent.
Okay, so we can move on to East.
So for the next part, you're still on, I can still see you. The 96th Street bus lane presentation with the NYC DOT and NYC MTA.
So, are you ready for the presentation?
Yes.
Yes, please. You need to share your screen?
Okay, so let me just say good evening to everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Rafael Escano, and I am a Manhattan Borough Planner responsible for Community Board 11 District DOT-related matters in the Office of Manhattan Commissioner at Pinker. As you know, the DOT and MTA have partnered to analyze the 96th Street crosstown bus route using a variety of metrics to make improvement in the rider's overall experience from its initial location on First Avenue to its final location on West End Avenue. It is our intention to share the result of this analysis-study, the 96th Street Bus Priority and Safety Improvements Initiative, with the three community boards that the 96th Street crosstown passes through, CB7, CB8, and CB11, to hear their respective concern as well as compliments. To this end, I would like to introduce you to two robust team of presenters, one led by Bus Priority Project Managers Leora Nevin and Dustin Koo, and the other by Joseph Kiermounted and Moria Richardson from DOT and MTA respectively. So let me just allow Leora to begin the presentation. Go right ahead.
Hello, everyone. I need access to share my screen, please.
Okay, 1 second, Leora.
Thank you.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Hold on.
Can I just ask as you begin, if you could just say your title so I can put it in the minutes?
Sure, yes.
So
My
much.
name is Leora Evans, and I'm a project manager in transit development at DOT for Bus Priority. Okay. All right, so thank you all for having me this evening, and thank you for your attention. I'll be presenting about 96th Street bus priority and safety improvements. We'll start with agenda, background and context on the project, then I'll walk through the proposal, summarize and discuss next steps, and then we'll have plenty of time for questions at the end. So DOT is proposing bus and safety improvements on 96th Street because of high ridership There are 15,500 average weekday riders on both the M106 and M96. There's also high frequency on the route, on the corridor. So the M96 is scheduled as frequently as every 3 minutes. In addition to high ridership and high frequency, bus speeds are very slow, as low as 4 miles per hour during peak hours. And there's also a high number of injuries on the corridor. In the past 5 years, there have been almost 400 injuries, including 44 who were killed or severely injured. A brief note on demographics. So in the census tracts right along 96th Street, there are 40,000 residents, and 74% of the households do not have access to a private vehicle. So 68% of residents commute to work via public transit, or walking or biking. This area, or 96th Street on the east side, is in a Tier 1 DOT priority investment area, determined by population density, socioeconomic makeup, and level of prior DOT investment. So citywide, bus rider median annual income is lower than driver's median annual income, meaning that this type of bus priority improvement project is a matter of transportation equity. So a review of some previous DOT projects along 96th Street include protected bike lanes on Columbus Avenue and First Avenue, safety improvements at West End Avenue, Broadway, and Madison, and a bus lane on Second Avenue and a protected bike lane on Second Avenue, Amsterdam Avenue, and Central Park West. Last week, DOT announced many of the new efforts that we've planned to complement in preparation for the congestion pricing central business district tolling plan that's being implemented by the MTA. So there are 37 new projects across the city that are in development for 2024 and 2025 to get ready for increased need for transit. So that this map highlights some of those projects, including 96th Street to better connect transit routes uptown to transit routes that go throughout the city and also to the central business district. So as many of you know, the M96 runs from First Avenue to West End Avenue, and the M106 overlaps with the M96 route on the west side and into the transverse before it makes the rest of its route on 106th Street on the east side. There are many key destinations across the corridor, including multiple subway lines and many other bus routes, hospitals, parks, and much more. I'll now hand it over to my colleague, Joe Charmante from the MTA, to speak about bus data.
Hey, everyone, you can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. My name is Joe Charmante. I'm a principal transportation planner with New York City Transit. And I'll just talk a little bit about bus ridership on the corridor. So the average weekday ridership along the 96th Street corridor is 14,900. That combines the M96 and the M106 together that operate on 96th Street. And that makes it the third busiest crosstown route in Manhattan by ridership. Most riders are traveling between the east side and the west sides, as you would assume, and almost 6,000 people per day ride in each direction just through Central Park. So it's a very busy corridor. We have about buses scheduled every 3 minutes in the AM and PM peaks. So if you look at that map that's there, it just highlights ridership activity by stop along the corridor. So that's both people getting on and getting off. Or you go to the next. And then looking at bus speeds along the corridor, they're pretty slow throughout. They're particularly slow on the east side and also around Broadway and Amsterdam on the west side. And the map that we have included here just highlights where the slow areas are. The red indicates the slowest areas, which are less than 4 miles per hour. And there's a few of them.
Thank you, Joe.
Sure.
So traffic safety data over the past 5 years is shown in this slide. Recent projects along the corridor have improved safety, but there is still a high number of crashes on the corridor. And 96th Street is in the top 10% of most dangerous streets in the city. So you can see the numbers broken down by mode here on this slide. So a note on general traffic speeds and volumes. The top image shows that speeds are generally slower getting across the avenues and faster through the transverse. And the bottom image shows that vehicle volumes are higher in the transverse and lower getting across the avenues. So overall, the project's goals are to improve bus service, so to prioritize transit in the roadway, increase bus speeds and bus reliability, and strengthen this east-west transit connection uptown. The project also aims to improve safety on the corridor by including pedestrian safety in the design and the outreach process. So while we are not proposing bike infrastructure at this time on this street, I just wanted to make a note that DOT is studying bike connections in this area for potential future bike facilities that can connect east and west uptown better in the future. So just a note on that to think about for the future. So now I'll walk through the proposal, starting with the general concept of the offset bus lane. You may be familiar with this from other parts of the city, but I'll just highlight the background information on what the offset bus lane is. So along 96th Street, the current condition is to have 3 lanes in each direction. There's 1 parking lane and 2 travel lanes going in each direction. Which you can see in the top right. In the bottom right is the proposed condition, which is the parking lane in each direction, the bus lane in each direction, and then 1 travel lane. So the benefits of the offset bus lane is to improve bus speed and reliability by allowing buses to travel in the lane without being blocked by other vehicles that are driving or parked or standing. The offset bus lane design also maintains access to the curb for both parking and for loading and passenger drop-offs and other activities along the curb. Overall, this design aims to maintain traffic flow for vehicles and prioritize the bus. Here are some recent examples of offset bus lanes from 21st Street in Queens. We saw a 10% bus speed increase in the AM weekday period, and we saw injuries decrease by 8%. In the Lexington Avenue offset bus lane, we saw a 19% bus speed increase in the PM weekday peak period, and we saw a decrease of 24% in injuries. This image shows a, a more detailed version of the existing condition on 96th Street of a typical block, which is 2 general travel lanes in each direction with parking and loading at the curb. And you have the bus traveling in mixed traffic. And this is where a lot of the speed and reliability issues come in. Parking and loading is on each curb throughout the corridor for the most part. So for the proposal, this is a rendering of the typical offset design that we're pursuing throughout or proposing throughout the design, where the bus lane is offset from the parking lane throughout the block. And when it gets to the bus stop, the bus pulls to the curb to pick up and drop off passengers. And we're proposing painting the bus stop area red to signify to cars that they shouldn't be blocking the bus stop. The offset lane design also, maintains the parking and loading lane. The proposal is for 24/7 bus lanes for the typical block. So at intersections that have heavy left turn vehicle volumes, we have a design that allows for more space to better organize traffic, where the offset bus lane will shift to the curbside position to make space for a left turn bay, which allows cars that are intending to turn left to queue in this left turn space so that there's less conflict between the through moving vehicles and the left turning vehicles. This improves safety by reducing the conflicts between the different traffic movements and just better organize the traffic overall while giving the bus its own lane at the intersection. There's also a pedestrian safety treatment that I want to highlight here, which is the hardened center line. That is the yellow and black rubber speed bump, as we call it, that's on the double yellow line. This just indicates to cars that they need to slow down as they approach the intersection, and can also reduce their speed if they drive too quickly over it. So we're considering this left turn design at Central Park West, Park Avenue, Lexington, and at 3rd Avenue. And I'll show those in more detail. Another treatment that we are proposing within the design for this bus lane project is queue jump signals. So we have a bus only signal that we're able to propose at some intersections to allow the bus to get a head start in traffic by getting ahead of the other cars that are waiting to enter the intersection. This treatment can be paired with a leading pedestrian interval, which improves pedestrian safety by giving pedestrians a head start at the intersection. So pedestrians get a green light before cars do, so that they can make their way, establish themselves in the intersection for better visibility and just more time to cross without having to contend with turning vehicles. So in places that already have this leading pedestrian interval signal timing, we can add a bus only signal without changing the signal timing of the intersection. So that's the case at 96 and 3rd Avenue. There's already a leading pedestrian interval, so we are able to propose this bus only signal without changing the signal timing. But at 96th Street and Central Park West and at 97th Street and 5th Avenue, we'd be studying we're proposing to study the intersection to see if it can accommodate this bus only signal phase, which would also then create a leading pedestrian interval. So it'd be both a bus priority and pedestrian safety improvement in one. Other pedestrian safety improvements that we are proposing are these turn calming rubber speed bumps that are closer to the corner that indicate to cars that they need to slow down as they approach the turn to better see pedestrians in the crosswalk and to reduce their speed if they're coming too fast and too close to the crosswalk. We also use the rubber speed bumps on the center line, like I mentioned earlier when I was discussing the left turn design. This is something that we are considering throughout the corridor. So now I'll walk through block by block so you can see what we've proposed for each block of the east side. And so you can see the concept that we're pursuing or we're proposing, and interested to hear your feedback on later. So between 2nd Avenue and 3rd Avenue, we have the typical offset bus lane design in each direction, meaning we have the parking lane and the bus lane offset from it. In the westbound direction, the bus will have just turned around using 1st Avenue, 97th, and 2nd Avenue to turn around at the end of the route. And then it comes down 2nd Avenue, makes the southbound right onto 96th Street into the bus stop. And then the westbound bus lane has this tapered start to indicate to cars that the bus lane is about to begin and to encourage them out of the lane so the bus can start traveling westbound in the lane. And the eastbound bus lane ends at 2nd Avenue because we're not putting bus lanes on the turnaround due to the conditions. So that's between 2nd Avenue and 3rd Avenue. It's mostly the typical design. Between 3rd Avenue and Lexington, we have the eastbound bus lane in the curbside position in the proposal. And this would be in effect from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. on all days. And parking would be permitted overnight. In the westbound direction, we have the typical design, which is bus stop painted red, and then the bus lane offset from the parking lane, maintaining the parking on that side of the block. At Park Avenue, there are offset bus lanes in the eastbound direction, and in the westbound direction, we have the left turn bay proposal with the bus lane shifting to the curb to make space for these left turn bays in the intersection. These turn bays, make traffic a bit more organized and give the left turning vehicles a clear space for where they're supposed to be. Between Park Avenue and Madison, we're proposing a westbound curbside bus lane, which would be in effect 24/7. The bus already travels in this lane. We wouldn't be removing any parking to create this lane because it's already a travel lane with no parking anytime and no standing anytime. And we're maintaining the full block right turn lane and the through lane for cars that are moving through the intersection to queue and that aren't turning. There are very high right turn volumes at this intersection, and this is the current condition that the bus is turning right at the same time as right turning vehicles. And in the eastbound direction, it's the typical offset design. That brings us through the proposal. So to summarize, it's mostly offset and some curbside bus lanes in the proposal to improve bus speeds and reliability throughout the corridor. We've also proposed turn bays to ease congestion at intersections with high turn volumes and give a better organization to the traffic layout, as well as pedestrian safety improvements throughout the corridor. Our next steps are to continue presenting to the community boards that are that include 96th Street, and to continue the project design and analysis. We have a proposed implementation timeline for summer 2024, when we'd continue monitoring the project, and in the fall and winter after implementation, we would continue to monitor the project and study any potential additional improvements that we could make to the corridor going forward. That is the end of the presentation, and now we have time for Q&A.
Thank you for your presentation. And I'd like to open it up to the floor for our board members. Go ahead, Dave.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for the presentation. This is definitely an interesting project. First, can you send us the presentation? Because I don't think I have it yet. And then once we get it, I want to look back at it. But have you guys studied like what the effects on traffic other than buses is going to be?
Yes, so in our design process, we extensively study the traffic. So we model the bus lane to see the like expected changes in traffic. So we expect that this bus lane proposal can still accommodate the current volumes of traffic. So we do study it, and any and we also, you know, have the ability to make adjustments as we go if we see that there's an area of concern. Right after implementation, we can always make adjustments to the signal timing to make sure that, you know, we're accommodating the traffic volumes. Yeah, so that's a big piece of the analysis.
And there's one slide that had examples of like past, sorry, there's like some noise coming. Yeah, I heard that, but I don't know. There's no way. There was a slide that had like examples of where you guys had added the bus line, and I think it was at the very beginning, like slide like 12 or earlier than that. And I think one was in Queens and one was somewhere else. But it seems like having the two bus lanes on like a two-way street is kind of unique. And I just thought it was a little I don't know, it feels like it's taking away a lot of lanes on like what I grew up as like seeing as an extremely busy street, which is 96th Street. And so I imagine even if this can accommodate like normal traffic, that either traffic that is usually on 96th Street will be diverted somewhere else, maybe north of 96th Street, which would affect CB11 more than CB8, because we are north. And I kind of worry about how that's gonna affect traffic in our neighborhood. I think congestion pricing might also create additional traffic in our neighborhood. So I don't have like a question for that, but I hope it's being adequately considered. That even if like, I think New York City is becoming more like anti-car, and I'm not necessarily opposed to that. But I do worry that there's gonna be more vehicle traffic north of 96th Street as a result of this.
Yeah, I thank you for making that comment, and we definitely consider the changes to traffic and want to make sure to hear from the community if, you know, there are treatments that we can do to kind of lessen the concern, and if there are particular intersections that you're concerned about, we would want to to hear from you, once the bus lane would go into effect. So we are studying it extensively and definitely validate it, that it's something that we look at. And if we see in our models that there's going to be, a significant change, there are instances where we'll make adjustments to the bus lane design. So we're in the process of making that, those decisions based on our analysis. At this time, we're expecting that this design will work, but I hear what you're saying and want to reassure you that we are studying the traffic. And if anybody else wants to jump in about the broader question of impact on the neighborhood, or you can feel free to jump in.
I just wanted to add, I've seen a lot of traffic coming off the 96th Street, FDR exit. That is extensive. So even though there may not be a lot of people that own cars on 96th Street, that whole area there's a lot of cars that pass through the neighborhood. There's a lot of cars that are coming from the north to the south that come across 96th Street from the bottleneck area. And so they floor it and zoom across 96th Street. So that whole section is just bombarded with cars.
From FDR.
From the
Going up to
FDR.
like Third Avenue, even Third Avenue, because you got that traffic that's trying to turn.
So I just want to add that to your information so that to really definitely make a survey of how many cars are coming off the FDR, what times are coming off the FDR, and also to add that in other areas in our neighborhood that have the buses already, the lanes stop at 7 o'clock as opposed to 8 o'clock. It would behoove each person to think about making it a uniform time so that some people are not thinking, oh, I can come and then I can't. It's better to have it all one ending time. Okay, go ahead.
Don Sanders has her hand raised, and another attendee has their hand raised.
But I want to give you time to respond.
Thank you for the presentation. Now, have you considered moving the bus stops? I mean, I realize those are long blocks, across 96th Street. But I believe and correct me if I'm wrong, there's two between Second and Third. There's one at the top of the block and one at the bottom of the block. Have you considered at all moving the bus stops to maybe help ease some of the congestion?
We haven't specifically looked at moving bus stops. It's something we could consider. Where you're speaking of, where there's the two on the one block face. I'd have to look at the land uses off the top of my head. I don't know, you could say put one on the far side so that of Second Avenue so that they're spaced out a little bit. But it may not be conducive. I just don't know off the top of my head. I'm sure there were. So two things. A, we haven't thought about moving stops, but it's something that we could certainly consider if there's an issue. We do it. But in this particular context, I'm not 100% sure why they're two on the one block face. Unless is it going on to between which two did you say?
On the southbound side of 96.
It's between second and third, I want to say.
Yeah, all right. Second. I'm not 100% sure. I was thinking maybe first where it has to make the left, but we can look into it if it's an issue.
Does he mean going east? He said the south side of 96.
Yes.
So that would be going eastbound. Yeah.
Yes, east.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's a land use issue. I just off the top of my head, I don't know without looking at a street view map or something, but that's not something we would normally do. But unless there's a land use constraint. And in the bigger picture with this project, we haven't considered it. This is mostly about, the bus lanes, but it's something that, we might consider on a local crosstown route like this. There's a lot of Generally, we tend to make stops almost at every block, just because of the, there's a lot of access that is needed on these routes.
I think on the west side of Third Avenue, there's a school there, which might make it less receptive, able to have a bus stop right in front of the school where the kids are.
It's possible, a lot of schools don't love the bus stops when they're in front of them, and we wouldn't, normally do that if we could avoid it. If there's school buses and whatnot that stop in front of theirs and parents picking kids up, it's not a great place for a bus stop.
Thank you, Don. Has your hand up?
Yes, please, thank you so much, Chair, Vice Chair. So first of all, I guess being the person in the room that goes all the way back to before bus lanes and bike lanes on First and Second Avenue, I think the rollout of a lot of this has really been negative. I think that I'm not sure why we're not at this point listening to police, fire, and EMT. There was, I guess, recently, police, fire, and EMT did a hearing with the city council explaining that a lot of the expanded bus and bike lanes have slowed emergency response. And sorry. And then, when we first agreed, when this community board agreed to bus and bike, well, when we were told that we were getting bus and bike lanes on First and Second Avenue, NYPD traffic came to the meeting, fire department came to the meeting, and they all said that this is going to interfere with their life-saving activities. And that's all on the record. So we know that that's an issue. And I'm a little confused, and I'm glad Sage brought it up, why we're not talking about the fallout on 34th Street, 14th Street, 42nd Street, 8th Avenue, 3rd Avenue, a lot of places where we've expanded these pedestrian ways, there has been an impact. So I don't know how it's safer that there is no, that the buses can just go as quickly as possible on the bus lanes and people don't know quite where to cross the street or anything like that. So anyway, I guess my question is why can't you talk about cross streets in Manhattan? And why would we have to have a 24/7 bus lane? I don't know of any place else in Manhattan besides 34th Street that has a 24/7 bus lane. Like that doesn't, I mean, it just doesn't sound right. So, I don't expect all these things to be answered, but I think the thing that's the scariest to me about this car-free Manhattan thing is that we are now hearing that emergency vehicles can't get through, let alone people in their private cars or people trying to get to different appointments, people trying to get to the doctor. They're paying twice as much to sit in traffic in cabs to get to their appointments. So, I mean, I see that the point of this is to increase congestion, to dissuade cars from using the streets. I get it. I think anybody who's thinking about this over the last 20 years can see what this is about. I really want to know why you can't tell us about 34th Street and 14th Street, which I think have been a disaster. 8th Avenue, I think, has been a disaster. And I guess I'm saying disaster. And if you have a problem or you get sick or you need help on that block, it's not going to work out for you. So, why can you tell us a little bit more about the other crossings where we've basically brought the traffic to a standstill? 34th Street, 14th Street, 42nd Street, and not Queens. Queens to me is irrelevant.
Okay, so you raise a lot of important ideas, and I want to start with the first one about emergency vehicles. So that would definitely be a concern that emergency vehicles will still be able to access people having emergencies. But I just wanted to say that emergency vehicles are absolutely allowed to drive in the bus lane. So I just wanted to put that out there, and I'm curious to hear more about what you are referencing. So maybe if you can, if you've seen a report about that, if you could send it along, we'd be curious to know. But just to reassure everybody that emergency vehicles are allowed to drive in the bus lane. And then about the other examples, or also I'll say that, buses still follow the speed limit and pedestrians still cross in the crosswalk. So that's just one other response to the point that you raised. But if anyone from the MTA wants to add to that, feel free to jump in.
The
Yeah.
buses must obey the speed limit.
Yeah. And then in terms of other bus lanes in Manhattan, we have other bus lanes that are 24/7 throughout the borough. And including Lexington and First Avenue as well as others. So it's something that we've proposed and we, we haven't seen like a standstill of vehicles, we sometimes see, after the initial implementation that traffic slows a bit on the corridor, but then things sort of go to an acceptable level and we monitor it to make sure that if there are any signal timing adjustments that are needed, that we can monitor and adjust so that the acceptable levels of traffic can get through.
If I may jump in, good morning, good evening, committee. My name is Philip Beth. I'm the Deputy Director for Bus Priority at City DOT. As Leora mentioned, we're proposing 24/7 offset lanes. And that is generally what we propose for offset lanes. So with a curbside bus lane where we would take away parking, like on 79th Street, where we took away parking to allow bus lanes, we do normally do those with hours. And those hours are there because we understand that community residents do use that parking in the overnight hours. In an offset scenario where the bus lane is not on the curb, we do keep those at 24/7. The reason for that is based on our traffic analysis, if we determine that the traffic level of service is acceptable with just that one travel lane for general traffic, we know that it's going to be acceptable in the heaviest traffic at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, at 8 a.m. in the morning. We know that the traffic will be less in the overnight hours and will be fine at that time in that one traffic lane. The other benefit that we do see is when we have the one lane, we don't see as much excessive speeding. And we also actually, one of the reasons we often see fewer crashes is because we have just one travel lane in the straightaway sections. But then when we get to the intersection, we have that left turn bay. So we're able to get those left turning cars off to the side, to the left, let the through traffic go through. We don't see as much weaving back and forth. I would be very interested to see that city council testimony. Our understanding from talking to FDNY in Mass, this has not had issues with our bus lanes. We've occasionally heard things from individual fire officers at public meetings, and generally the FDNY has disavowed those statements from individual fire officers. We have a very good relationship with the fire department, with the PD, and with DSNY, all the other uniformed agencies that use our streets. And then lastly, I will mention 14th Street, 34th Street were mentioned. 34th Street is a mix of offset and curbside lanes, and we found that those have been very effective there. On 14th Street, we have a busway. You may be familiar with a busway. Busway is when we forbid private vehicle traffic from going straight down the corridor. So it's a very different treatment. But on 14th Street, we did do a lot of monitoring, and we found that the bus travel speeds are up 20–25%. We found it was very well used by seniors who don't have to try to navigate the stairs down to the L train or wait for a slow elevator. They can hop right on the bus at the curb. And we found that traffic speeds really were not majorly impacted on 14th Street. We do have a number of different evaluation reports on our website. You're welcome to peruse. We're very, very proud of the 14th Street busway, the 181st Street busway. We found that all of them have been very effective moving our bus riders across the city.
You have,
Thank you.
you have an attendee who has their hand raised. That's Teresa Richardson.
Okay, first of all, I want to find out if anyone else has questions.
I just have one more thing, and that's about like bicyclists. I think on like 34th Street, 42nd Street, 14th Street, there's like so much pedestrian traffic that, and I don't think there are bike lanes on the streets, but I might be wrong. But there's so much pedestrian traffic that bicyclists like would not ride on the sidewalk there. Whereas on 96th Street currently, because there's no bike lane, a lot of bicyclists do ride on the sidewalk. Especially like delivery drivers. And I worry that those bicyclists would move into the bus lane and that might have an uptick for accidents involving bikes. So I would just note that.
I just want to add, not saying that we want to have bike lanes added to a already very congested picture of what we already saw. So that, I just want to make sure that that is not in contention. Cause I just see the one lane of traffic coming off with the FDR, coming down from the north. It just seems it's gonna be a lot of congestion. It's a high route of cars that are not from the neighborhood necessarily. I would like to add the individual that is attending.
Yes.
They have the floor.
Teresa, you should be allowed to speak. Go ahead. Do you have a question?
Unmute yourself.
Teresa Richardson, hello, can you hear us?
I think they're talking about him.
What's in the chat?
This is Don Sanders right now, and I'll have a discussion with her later on. Hi, Teresa. If anything, you can feel free to just submit an inquiry to the board office and we can forward it to Department of Transportation, okay? Thank you.
Okay,
Raphael, is there a timeline or a deadline for the board to submit any comments or anything regarding the 96th Street bus lane project?
I guess Leora can address that question.
Yes, Leora, please, thank you.
Can you said a timeline for implementation? So
No,
for
is there a timeline for community board input, like a deadline or anything of that nature? Or are you comment regarding the bus lane priority project? Is there anything like that?
You have the opportunity to do that now. Right?
Oh,
Leora?
so we're asking if there is a deadline to submit any comments. That's what we're asking. Is there, by July 31st, or you can accept it at any time?
Okay, so Leora can.
I guess
you too, Phillips.
I'll jump in. Yes, our proposed timeline would be to begin implementing this project during the summertime. We don't have an exact month, so I'd just say the sooner the better. I think we've gotten a lot of good comments from you right now. We've been taking notes, obviously. But the sooner the better, I think, so that as we're continuing to refine, we can make sure that we're taking your input into account. You can certainly share those with Raphael. We'd appreciate it.
Thank you. Usually we take at least a month to discuss things, because it's a lot of information and we didn't have the presentation ahead of time to look over. So once you give us the presentation and we can just really digest it, are you looking for a letter of support or more so comments, or what are you looking for from us?
They just want to tell us in seconds.
I would say very much, certainly comments to start, just because we really want to get your input. Certainly, if you do support the project, we'd love a letter of support or resolution as well, but that is for the committee to decide, obviously. We feel strongly this is a good project that is going to deliver for bus riders getting across east and west, but we definitely want your comments. I did want to mention just one other thing that had occurred to me. one of the major reasons we are not proposing any sort of bus lane between first and second is the traffic around the FDR. So the bus does have to make a move from the right lane to the left lane to go north on first. And so, doing the traffic analysis there, we found that a bus lane really would be deleterious to traffic, and that's why we're not proposing it there. So just sort of one of the takeaways from our traffic analysis.
Okay, thank you. I figured that was, because I've been in the neighborhood in that area for decades. I'm very well aware of that whole area and the traffic and how it's changed throughout the decades. I appreciate your presentation. We will be making comments and get back to you in the following month. Thank you so much. I just want to make sure if everyone has had their say. Okay, and have you had your complete say?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Leora and Phillips, you could go right ahead, and Joseph. Been a pleasure to meet you all virtually. I'm going to stick around here to answer some of the questions, not related to this presentation, but to other items that we had discussed in the past.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
So,
now.
moving along,
Thank you.
any items that you like to address with me?
Have there been any changes in that area? The little speed bumps have changed?
And on that note, actually, the photos of the same speed bumps, they're actually cracked and shattered from cars driving over them, talking about 117. right?
Absolutely.
So I think that just speaks to its ineffectiveness, and I'm happy to provide those photos to Jose, who'll then send it to you, but yeah, same
Yes.
exact.
I think that would be the appropriate way of letting us know about that particular case. You have my email. You could tell me the location, and then I will proceed to make sure that that is repaired.
Hold on a second. I know that you've already had some photos delivered to you. What happened to those photos?
The photos about the 117th Street and Pleasant Avenue pedestrian lane, that's the one you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I brought it up to the particular unit's location, and they are, I guess, doing the preliminary to see if something else can be done. But one of the things that comes up in our discussion is enforcement. Enforcing the fact that that is a pedestrian lane and motor vehicles are not supposed to park there. So I will follow that up, and I will let you know by next meeting. Also, I want to kind of update you on the 128th Street and 3rd Avenue Bridge.
Hold on, before we get there, we just want to stay with this a little bit longer with the ineffectiveness of the barrier, because Kenneth had one follow-up question to that.
Okay.
So bear with me.
Yeah, just very quickly, I agree, it is partially a problem of enforcement, maybe it's also the tool that we're using. If it's a blunt enough tool, then maybe you can talk about enforcement all you want, but the tool kept getting broken and replaced. So is there a plan for something more long-term in that area to ensure pedestrian safety? You know, as someone who, I shop in that complex all the time, and I'm worried for my safety, I think other folks are, and it is already a narrow walkway for pedestrians to traverse, so given all the photos we're sending, I'm sure there'll be more in the future. Is there a long-term solution or plan for a more durable structure to protect pedestrians there?
I could look into that and have the discussion with that particular unit that it's been working on it. Remember when we first installed what we have now, which is the wheel stoppers, it's under the condition that it's going to be monitoring, and obviously it's being monitored by you guys, and obviously it's something that should be taken into account. So I will have a discussion with the unit as soon as I get to the office tomorrow, and I will update you accordingly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I know the pictures will be sent
Sending them right now.
today.
Yep.
So you will have those photos to take with you, for the
Tomorrow.
discussion tomorrow.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so now to go on to the other topic of old business.
Okay. No, I just say that I wanted to share an update with you in regard to the 128th Street and Third Avenue pedestrian bridge. That project is moving forward, and hopefully that is going to be happening. Maybe I don't want to misspoke, but probably by 26 to 26. That will be possible, but it's moving forward accordingly.
Okay,
Thank you, Rafael.
All
I
right.
have one.
Sage has a question. You have the floor.
Yeah, I think generally, and I don't know, Raphael, who you would talk to about this, but I think it would just be nice to like involve the community board earlier in the process for many of these projects. It feels like DOT and the MTA, and I know you're not the MTA, but often just kind of comes and tells us what they're doing like a month before it happens.
Like an afterthought.
Yeah, yeah, and I would rather it be like collaborative and get our input in the like idea generation process rather than like the informational, like this is the plan, we are alerting you process. Just something for the future.
Yeah,
And
I must
appreciate
be honest with you. I'm learning the process, and everything that I hear in that regarding your question is something that they call a process. That it's something that studies are done, and then you bring it up to the community boards for your reaction, either concerns or compliments. And I'm not sure why that process is in that way. I mean, personally, yes, I would tend to agree with you to collaborate in a particular project, but it seems that the agency has procedure that they have to follow, and that is exactly what they're doing now.
I feel like whenever like DOT presents something to us, there's like an initial resistance to it. And I think that resistance and your job would be easier if like you had our buy-in and as the solutions were being proposed. Because if you like presented like a problem to us, we would be like, oh, we want to solve that too. But when you just present your solution to us, it feels like you are imposing something on us that we didn't know we needed.
Right, and that solution that you had just referenced is based on robust analysis, studies, using a variety of metrics that are, according to the expert, will be the most appropriate or perhaps the best thing that could happen to that particular community. I'm not knocking it down. I'm not going against what you are saying, but it seems that that is the procedure that they usually follow.
Thank you. Hold on.
You know, I don't mean to appear adversarial or step on anybody's toes. But if you notice, mostly with city agencies, this is the process. They come up with these ideas, these studies, and then they say, this is what we're gonna do. I do think that maybe, and it would have to be on a broader scale. Maybe city agency, but well, fine, you do your studies and that type of thing, but before you start implementing anything, go to the community and say, hey, look, this is what we found, what's your feedback? That would be a good point to ask for the community's feedback. Will also help them with their studies.
And also just to iterate for you guys as well, We do have a letter of opposition to the Third Avenue East 128th Street pedestrian bridge improvement project.
Yeah.
But it's not much, one, because, you know, we try to push it to you guys as committee members to list out specifically reasons as to why there are issues. Right now, the letter only states the Public Safety and Transportation Committee voiced their concerns over DOT's limited civic engagement regarding this project, including lack of consideration for alternative suggestions to improve the pedestrian safety and mitigate traffic and congestion in this area. The committee requests that DOT expand the civic engagement component of this project and adopt recommendations from constituents, elected officials, and stakeholders. That didn't come from this committee specifically. So that's, you know, we, when it comes to this or the pedestrian safety improvements on East 117 or the congestion pricing, we don't have a letter or a correspondence regarding that. We need you guys to really, you know, join in on these open documents that we create, so you guys can put in those thoughts. We can, like, us as staff on our end, we can clean things up and make sure it goes according to guidelines in terms of grammar and so forth, but we can't build the content because we're not there. You know, the pictures that Kenneth just showed me, this is the first time I'm seeing these pictures. So, you know, it'd be great for you guys to, like, really just, you know, to compile these an actual thorough and legitimate correspondence to these agencies, so we have something concrete to back on, instead of just saying it at a committee meeting and then next month following up. So that's, you know, that's what I'd like for you guys to definitely at least help us out on. There is a there is a letter that exists, so you guys can definitely say that we have said something, but it's just one page and there isn't much details on it. Like, everything that you guys are saying, it's not here. It's just, you know, that's the only thing we can do. And we don't want to put words in your mouths. So
Okay, so that is something,
I can work with it. If you- we can look
Kylie,
at
do you
it.
send the letter to me?
yes, I can definitely re-forward it to you. Yes, all of our, and just for public record, all of our letters and resolutions are available on our CB11 website. You would go through, sorry, real quick.
you wanna add something to that?
You would go through about CB11 and scroll down to letters and resolutions, and you can see all letters, resolutions in favor or opposition to whichever project, date pass and relevant committee. Raphael, I will definitely re-forward that letter to you. We issued that letter, I think, last year, October 2023. Let me just double check.
I remember seeing that.
Yes, October 24th, 2023. So I'll definitely, I'll send that over for you, Raphael.
Okay, Raphael, I just wanted to say that, we appreciate you. However, I do want to find out what is the same project as we saw the last time, what is going to be implemented in 2026, and as a community, we ourselves know what it is to live in our community and how the bridge is not being used. So I know that you said that the experts have a lot of information and there's a lot of surveys that are being done. However, we are a wealth of information. And it would behoove the experts to actually listen to us. So I would think that it would be a huge credit to the committee that is doing the 138th Street Bridge thing to come and listen to us.
128.
128.
28.
What's wrong?
I got it. I have to check on that date, the timeline for that to be completed. So I'm going to look into it tomorrow when I get to the office and make sure that I give you the correct information.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Is there anybody online that would, like, is it Dawn or?
No, Dawn had, she left the meeting. And there's nobody else online that's.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Sure.
Okay. So thank you. Until next time.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you and thank you for giving us your update.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Thank you, Raphael.
Take care. And now it is time for our old business. And I just wanted to find out if there was anyone online for the street co-naming request.
No, I don't think Sam Moore, I don't think he's online.
Is Jose still on the call?
Jose is still here.
Hold on a second.
Okay. And, all right, so nothing there. All right. I just wanted to find out if there was anyone on, and you said there was no one online about this particular subject. We will find out if we would like to, as a group, ask if the city council review would be for this particular subject for the Misty Place on southeast corner of Fifth Avenue and East 107th Street. Would we recommend that?
What's this, what's it, the southeast corner of,
So what I'm asking is, would we recommend it to send this on to city council for review? Or would we like to spend another month reviewing it ourselves?
I have a point of clarification or a question, but sure, just given what Khalid said about the other street naming kind of falling into limbo, I would just want to avoid that scenario. Like have a definitive answer for the folks here who put in the street naming request. So I don't know if we can avoid that. If we can't, we can't, right? We can just put it in, but I just want to know if there's a way that we can avoid that.
Really noted.
just, real quick, what's the location again?
This is, the corner of Fifth Avenue and East 107th Street.
Northern, okay, now, East 107th Street, not to change the subject. But, just as a quick update, because there was an issue with Ladford that were parking their vehicles in the block between Fifth and Madison.
I remember.
They did kind of clean up their act, but historically what they do is, as a few weeks ago back to them. I've been monitoring it and I have been, taking additional photos. As a matter of fact, I even had one guy confront me. He's like, are you taking a photo of me? So what is your business? This is my phone. You know, he knew he was wrong because as soon as I started snapping photos, he stopped what he was doing, closed his trunk, hopped in his car and moved it to where he was supposed to. They have access to the property exclusive to them on 106th Street. They're just too lazy to use it. They have cleaned up their act. I haven't seen it as much, but I am still monitoring it because I don't want the same thing to happen and I have to readdress the whole issue and start from the beginning again. The street naming, I do remember that now. I think that's something that we should get that cleared up first. Make sure that, you know, there's no problem with the street because nobody wants to have their name on the street that's already has issues. So to speak.
So you're thinking about tabling it for another month?
Yes, yeah, I will.
See, not to call you out, but asking you anyway.
I don't know if it would do any good to table it. I do worry that, if, yeah, I would vote on it this month. But I think, yeah, we asked for, Jose. Jose, are you on the call?
Jose, can you hear us?
Well, this is good because Don is already.
If Jose's not on the call, then we don't have to call.
Right. Because Don's is decided, he helped us make quorum, Simi Anthony Brown made.
Oh, okay, so,
Quorum. If Jose is not on the call, then you effectively lose quorum, because then it's only just a 5.
so that with Don, I left, for the next event.
Hi, Jose, are you there?
What's he doing?
I'm here.
Thank you.
So we can act on them.
No,
Thanks
Do
for
we need to-
making.
Do we need to make a motion to forward this to city council or?
no,
Sure we do.
it's not.
We don't need a motion for that. We kind of already started it.
Got it.
So.
Yeah.
the-
So
there's more-
what we'll do is we'll table this for now. And then we'll get back to it as soon as we get word back from Councilwoman Diana Ayala's office.
Thank you.
Because what happens in terms of procedure is, just to be clear, is that obviously the community board is an advisory board, forwards this to city council. And then the actual decision is made there. So what we're doing here is making sure that, that they're approved, right? Because we can send it forward, it doesn't mean that it'll get approved. And we're just looking forward to see their position on it so that we can come back, see if they need something, or they want something, whether it's a yes or no, or whatever the situation is, and then we'll get back to the applicant and tell them what that is, basically.
Thank you. All right, so based on that, shall we vote to table it?
You don't have to vote to table it either. You just table it.
Yeah.
I think it's happening.
You guys, you just want to make a vote, huh?
We don't have to be democratic, I think it's fine.
We have to be democratic, so yes or
Oh,
no?
we have to, okay.
That's why being.
No.
I go with,
I'm going with all of y'all. I'll take your silence as a yes. New business. Do we have any new business?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, the new business I'm going to say is just to basically please remember that in September or early October, we're going to be having our second annual Safety Awareness Conference for East Harlem. We will need y'all to be on board, to volunteer your time, and to think of what you would want to do and also to take that day off. And we'll hopefully be on a Saturday.
It's gonna be a weekend though, right, this year.
Yes, but I mean, people are busy,
Sure. of
so I
course.
just want to have that in your head.
I will,
Yeah, we had that request from last year. We did it a Friday, and there was a significant request for it to be on the weekend so that there would be more availability for attendance due to people's work engagement. It came from a significant amount of people that wanted to attend.
And so we are working for a Saturday. So I just want to have that in your heads. And whoever's listening to have that in their heads as well. Any other new business? And so therefore, roll call, come to a close.
Members, Jose Altamirano.
Here.
Thank you, Stephanie Arroyo, absent, Anthony Brown.
Here.
Thank you, Kenneth Crouch. Present. Thank you, Carlos Diaz, absent, Wanda Hopkins.
Present.
Thank you, Sage Mason.
President.
Claudia Perez, absent, Don Sanders, was present earlier, not here with us right now. Move that in for the minutes. Loretta So, excuse, Michelle Wilson Clement.
I am present.
Thank you. And that's it, Chair. Vice Chair.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
I'll be.
Meeting is adjourned.
Okay.
Are we off the mic?
Yeah.